special way Jerry and the leadership of Possibilities for inviting me to celebrate this memorial, this celebration of life that we all gather for to celebrate for Justin. A little bit about myself. I'm a Catholic priest, but I'm also a member of the group. I'm a part of the Independent Catholic Church, an open and affirming branch of the church. And as I begin to lead the prayers and the gathering, I have a priestly confession to make. So I'll begin with, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned." And it's simply this, that when I first met Justin, I met him a couple of months ago in dealing with the memorial service for Cowboy Huggins. Many of you knew Cowboy when he was killed in the canyon on Washington Street. And before that, I hadn't really known anything about Justin. My confession is I just thought he was another pretty face. Just a pretty boy, somebody who didn't have any depth or anything to him. And I didn't really get to know him or care to get to know him. He just seemed like he was a distant kind of a fellow. But when I met him to organize and arrange the service for Cowboy, I met a whole different human being that caused me to look much, much deeper and much, much more beyond the prettiness of the face. And I met a really decent, fundamentally good human being. A decent man, a good man, whose memory will live on in this group for sure, and whose memory will live on in the hearts and the minds of many others who he touched in many different ways. And so, as we gather, we are going to gather to tell stories around the fire, and I think that's a very appropriate time and thing to do. Vinny was telling us on the memorial table are placed some things of Justin's, that he loved camping, and so you'll see some little bits and pieces of his camping equipment. So I couldn't think of a better place than to gather around the bonfire with a group of people that he cared for deeply and who cared for him deeply as well. So I realize that we all come from many different traditions of religion and spirituality, or no religion or no spirituality at all, but our common humanity draws us together, and in fact in some ways too, even our common illness, our common HIV draws us together. But it brings us together in a bond of brotherhood and fellowship that is really deep and strong. And it invites us, I think, to get to know the other in a much more meaningful way. So as we enter into this time of memorial and memory, I'd like to ask us to bow our heads, to close our eyes, and to speak to the divine being, to God, however you know God, or however you speak in your heart to the spiritual things that call you to think of things deeper and more meaningful even than yourself. Eternal God, whose presence we find if we dare to look in the vastness of the universe, in the constancy of the ocean waves, in the hypnotic dance of the flames and fire, in the rich diversity of those who are gathered here this night. Help us to look for you and to hear your voice in this place and among these people. Connect our temporary praise to your timeless rhythms, your ageless melodies, your everlasting joyful noise. Guide us now to focus upon you, knowing that in you our distractions become new possibilities for action. Breathe life into our sharing, into our praying, into our speaking, our listening, our embracing, that all these activities might become more than they are. In our remembrance of Justin, we reach out to you and to one another, knowing that you have already enfolded us in your arms, you who are without beginning or end, wholly other, yet near at hand. Hear our prayers and heal our hurts. Turn tears to laughter and sorrows to joy. If you care to join me in agreement with this, please say amen.
Amen.
Amen. I'd like to read a letter, a brief reading. This is a piece of work that was a letter on the death of John Keats, and it was written by Leigh Hunt. And in it he writes, "Tell him that we shall all bear his memory in the most precious part of our hearts, and that the world shall bow their heads to it, as our loves do. Tell him that the most skeptical of us has faith enough in the high things that nature puts into our heads to think that all who are of one accord in mind and heart are journeying to the one and the same place, and that all shall be united somehow to one another again, face to face, mutually conscious, mutually delighted. Tell him that he is only before us on the road, as he was in everything else, and that we are coming after him." As I mentioned, this is a time, I think, for sharing reflections, and we're going to certainly have time to do that around the fire. I sort of shared a little bit of my own thoughts and my own feelings toward Justin. I grew to know him and to really respect him as a kind and decent gentleman, a soul who really went out of his way, really went far beyond what most of us would probably do in organizing a memorial service for someone else. And as anyone here is, I'm as shocked and as saddened and as grief-stricken by the suddenness of his death and the untimeliness of it. And in a real way, I think it's caused me to look deep into my own thinking, my own feeling processes, to ask myself, how do you look at people? How do you judge people? And why are you doing the things that you do? And if you're not doing them with a pure heart, then why not? And if you are, then why so? And so I think that, for me, meeting Justin, especially at the time of Tyler Huggins' memorial service and at the time of his vigil, it gave me pause to think that I should be about the business of doing what I was called to do in ministry. And that is not to judge. And that is to really open my heart to other people and to allow them to become meaningful in my life and touch me in places that I don't allow other people to touch me. And I want to say at this gathering, if I had bad thoughts about Justin, then I apologize. I grew to know him, I grew to respect him, and in fact, in a very real way, I grew to love him. I saw Justin as he really is, and I want to thank him for allowing me to be a part of this memorial, and I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of this memorial as well. And so I'd like to invite, if anyone else would like to share a story, we'll have time to do it around the fire, but if anything of what we've read or what was said has touched you, you want to share a thought or a story, something to pick up our spirits or to call us to deeper reflection, please feel free to do so.